Hello, beautiful people. Welcome to what this channel will be about. It took me a couple of weeks or even months to decide where we're going, but I think the YouTube channel will be around conversations. And what is a better way to start it than having the one and only Reem being with us, as we had a bunch of questions on relationships from social media, from Instagram, and this is our chance to answer them and hopefully give you a chance to find out a bit more how it is to be us, I guess. So, welcome.
Thanks. I am really nervous. I don't do the camera stuff. Soren does, so I'm freaking out right now. But it's fine. We're just gonna go on. We're just gonna into the.
I think it's this is a chance you're gonna get double the camera awkwardness in the long format too, because usually I can get away with just talking for a couple of minutes. But yes, I'm gonna be looking at my phone because your questions are gonna be there. I think the most common ones, which are pretty easy to start with, is how did we meet?
Yeah. Can I quickly just also mention? I think like we're not perfect, so all the questions that come in are like our experience, right? I would say.
Oh, far from perfect.
Yeah.
But I'm lucky because anyone that follows, I guess, already knows that I've been openly flawed, which is refreshing in a way. Thank you for being here.
Cool. So
How did we meet, and how long have we known each other? Yes, let's start with how we met.
Yeah. So we met on Hinge, which is a dating app, and it's funny because I said I wouldn't be on it for a while, and I randomly went on. Just there was an urge in me to go on, and that was the same for you. I think you.
I've been on other dating apps, and I heard of this Hinge app, and I've been on it for a couple of weeks. And right when we meet, it was right before December, and a new video game was about to come out. So I said, I'm gonna go on one more day, and then give up and play video games for the next 2 to 3 months, and not bother with dating. So I'm really happy I went on that date.
And I guess the funny thing is, your opening line was quite offensive, and if you know Soren, he can sometimes come across as offensive, even though he's not. And I like to be challenged, and I like to challenge back. So his opening line was,
"Are you going to be one of those preachy vegans?" Like, there's nothing wrong with vegans, but I am a serious meat eater, and I encountered some people in the past that just make me feel bad for eating dinner. And I think it said vegetarian in your profile, and there was a lot between the yoga and everything else. I was like, this girl is awesome, but if it's gonna be a headache in the long term, I have to clarify it now. And in a way, because everyone is like, how do you start a conversation on dating apps? I think it's quite important to stop the person from normal scrolling.
Yeah.
So what you're gonna do is say, "Hey, how are you?" You know, if you're a guy, you already know that doesn't really work out.
If you know, like I've always opened up with, "Hey, how's it going?" I don't know you, so what am I supposed to say? I genuinely thought that was okay, but I've heard from so many guys that apparently isn't enough. But anyway,
it is a real double standard when it comes to dating. The expectation of what a guy needs to like offer and entertain, and it's always been like that. If you look in nature, the females, are there just accepting, and the males do the dances with their feathers and everything else. So it's not uncommon that we need to put on a show. A mating dance.
Mating dance, yeah.
So it's not uncommon, but yes, I guess with apps like Bumble, where women have to message first. I've been on Bumble too, and it was very funny because you only got like an emoji of a hi, and before on different apps you heard I'm like, oh, that's a boring intro. But when they had a chance to have an intro, it was not creative in any sort of way. But I think things are slowly balancing out. Luckily, following up to the next question, how long we've been together is over.
Although we haven't actually answered the third question, so we should track there.
Okay. What did I miss?
So what did he miss? The entire thing. First of all, I didn't have that I was vegetarian in my bio. So he basically just looked at me with I usually wear these pants with like stars on them and prints, and I don't know. He basically looked at me and assumed I would be vegetarian or vegan, so then came with, hope you're not a preacher vegan. Which I then said no, and so it opened up, we had quite a lot of debate initially, right?
Well, I think that has been the core of our
Yeah,
relationship.
exactly.
Having not necessarily arguments as people think of arguments, but yes, having this debate,
Healthy
talking on
debate,
subject
yeah.
where you don't, you don't attack the person. We discuss and we can disagree about something, and then we still, treat each other with respect at the end. And to be honest, because I love to argue, not in an aggressive way, but I like to go into subjects and be challenged. So it's very refreshing, even from those messages where you didn't back down and you didn't say, "Oh yeah, that was rude." Because yes, it's a bit autistic of me going like, "Are you going to be one of those preachy vegans?" I was not even trying to be rude, but when you're the neurodivergent type, and for me, I'm just speak my mind, I end up getting myself in trouble because, especially on text,
you can't really read the emotion behind it. And then can I also just add, we spoke for a while on messaging, and before we went on a date, I was conscious that I could meet a serial killer because I watched so many crime documentaries. So I was like, let's have a phone call or send me a voice note. Let me just, I don't know what that would have told me actually, but you would be human, I guess. Which you were really reluctant to because you don't like speaking on the phone. And it's interesting because you do videos now because you've come such a long way. You didn't like, talking, I guess.
I still don't.
Yeah. Anyway, we had a phone call and then we kept having really long phone calls and lengthy debate phone calls before we even met. And then we met after like two weeks, I would say.
Yeah, and it was during the pandemic as well. I think it's an important point to touch on because if it was not a lockdown, so technically we've been illegal.
We went on a walk.
We went on an illegal walk.
Illegal.
It was an illegal walk, technically, if we looked at what the state of the world was at that time. But honestly, when I used to talk to people, if we wouldn't meet in the first week, I'll just give up because I learned from being around the moon a few times that if you talk for long periods of time, people tend to create an image of the other before meeting because of text. Because it's very similar to how people describe, oh, the book was better than the movie.
Yeah.
Because the book doesn't have any boundaries. There's no budget boundaries. There's no edit boundaries. Like it's you read the book and your imagination can be limitless.
Yeah.
And I feel exchanging a lot of text, which is what a lot of people tend to make a mistake, is they spend weeks and even months talking to each other, and they think they know each other, but they just create this person. And when they finally meet in person, there's a high chance, if they ever meet, because again, depending on what day it is, because you can't really put that much body language behind the text. You can use the wrong emoji. Someone can just have a bad day, and you can just ruin everything because there's no context. So you either end up not meeting, or when you meet, you realize that the reality of the person you just imagined for weeks and months might not be it. So I had a rule for myself, I think, since I was like in my early 20s, that if I'm talking to someone for more than a couple of weeks and we won't meet or we can't meet, I'm just gonna let it go because it's not necessarily...
It's not like you're looking for a pen pal.
No.
And I was the same. I prefer meeting in person because actually I can have great conversations with many people. And a lot of that actually is because I seem to I'll fit into what conversation they want to have. So of course we're going to get along because I try to mold myself to that. But actually in person, I would never have got along with that person. So for me, it was really, let's meet as soon as possible. And then before we move to the next question, I want to mention that I was going through his profile and it was so like, there was part of me, the first instant was, I'm not going to tick whatever, accept it. Well, I was the best person because I was worried that you were too good looking. I don't know what that even means, but then there was a picture where you were eating and you had like the biggest smile on your face, and I was like, really kind smile. I like that smile. So it was really a split. It was almost like 80% going to press X, and then within the last 20% I just ticked, and here we are today. So many ways this could have gone wrong, but
I wish, I'll be very honest, I wish there was something special behind. I just saw and I was like, this might. Honestly, that's and I know now that I was in a way correct, but now also know that it's worth it. I was like, this person seems extremely complex, and I was kind of burned out at the idea of dating. I'm like, this is my last date, so I was like, didn't really want something extremely complicated. But then the horny child in me so your leg tattoos and you were sitting down, and I was like, that's really cool. This might be an interesting person. And I was like, she's very hot and beautiful. I mean, I would resent myself if I didn't like it's here. I need to like find out more.
Yeah.
And that's why, because I was quite reluctant at the point, I'm like, this might be the headache. That's why I almost started in an aggressive way, like I can be one of those preachy. Because
can you handle me almost,
yeah,
isn't it? Yeah.
Because
yeah.
It is hard, and I guess it might be a decent segue to go into the modern dating scene and the modern woman, the independent woman. For you, it was obvious from your dating profile that you are, a true, strong, independent woman, which is there's nothing bad with that, but it can also be a headache if you're looking for someone loving and caring, for someone that has like it's a minefield out there, because as you know, I like cute and like kind, and I don't like to argue. Like, yes, we have debate.
I'm joking. Debate, you mean?
I love to debate, but I don't like negativity around the house. I don't want drama. I think that's it. I don't want any sort of drama. I have my past because of how I grew up and everything else. So I don't want any drama in the household. I just want us to like eat good food and smile, like whatever. So
on that, there wasn't. I'm not complicated. I guess we're both complex. Yeah, so different. But yeah, and I guess the other part of the question was how long. So 2 years.
Over 2 years. Yeah.
Over 2 years.
Those 2 years been intense, and not necessarily in a negative way. Again, we met during the quarantine, so
it was a bit lenient, but yeah.
Yes, we didn't do anything illegal.
Yeah,
but we spent a lot of time together, like a lot. I was very hesitant in committing to a relationship for like a decade. And then within 4 months, we moved into this house. It's not, she was already, we moved here after 4 months. And after the first month of us dating, you would spend majority of your time.
Yeah, like working from yours.
Yeah.
And you would go to work and I was working there. So I think
I was shocked. Like I was after when you know, it was one of those. I was very reluctant going in, but I think it was very good because, like, when it comes to dating, a lot of times people spend a lot of their dating in just beautiful environments or restaurants, holidays.
Yeah.
All of and you have.
It's almost not real.
It's not real life.
They're not real. It's not real life.
And because everything was closed and we wouldn't be able to go anywhere. We are forced to really spend time with each other.
Yeah.
And then when we worked in the same house and we dealt with the stresses, after work, and 'cause a lot of times, it's nice if you see someone on a weekend after they had a good night's sleep and they relax, and it's different after you see them after
a
a
long day.
10, 12-hour shift at work
Yeah.
and still be able to work it out. So it gave me like a lot of confidence to the point where I was like, we should move it, because I lived in a one-bedroom flat, so you would work from the living room. It was like, I don't want this to eventually become
Too much. It
too
was
much.
a lot already, and we did really well at that, but it was not conducive of a good setup for a new relationship. I'd say.
No, and it was weird because I would avoid committing to any relationship, and like 2 months, I already started looking for places. And in
Yeah.
4 months, we moved into this place.
Yeah. So it's been 2 years, but it feels like I know you a lot more than 2 years worth of knowing you. But anyway, yeah. Is there another question?
Ooh, how do you know that you have met the one? The one.
I think the first thing I want to say is I don't believe in having or seeing. I don't believe in the one. I believe in like being compatible with someone and working together at this relationship if our values align and that's what we both want. However, there's the only certain thing in life is death. I always say it. So being together with someone is just not certain. Like anything in the world, there are so many things that could happen. And I feel like when someone has the idea of the one in their head, it basically means they end up losing themselves. So I will put everything into this relationship because you are here and now, knowing that anything could happen. But for now, I know that we fit so well together. Like our values align, our habits don't align actually, but it's an important thing because they don't align at all. But we put everything in to make sure that we almost fit each other like a puzzle. We both put the effort in, we both give, and we both receive an equal amount. So when I say I don't believe in the one, it's just that anything can happen. I don't know. Aliens could come, for example. I don't know. But I need to make sure that I'm putting effort into my relationship with you, but also effort into myself.
I completely agree. I think the concept of the one is just a romanticized
Disney film
nonsense. I don't think there's the one. I think there's two people that are willing to put the work in.
Yeah.
If you find another person that's willing to put the work in, that is the one relationship. And then when that stops, and it's fine, because I think there's something really romantic about things being finite. The only certainty is there. I was thinking about my tattoos a lot. The reason why I love my tattoos and trying to make it a unique story is that I also love the idea that they're gonna die with me. I was like, this is it. You're gonna experience this work of art within my lifetime, and then, poof. And I think the idea of scarcity, if we look at the world, it increases value of stuff. If a resource is scarce, it increases value. And I think the one conversation puts an immense amount of pressure, because if you made that and you truly believe that you found the one, and then that person just stops putting the work in, you can find yourself in a toxic relationship, because now you're gonna make, you're not making a proportional amount of compromises. You think that if you think this is the one, if this doesn't work, you're just gonna die alone. And it's a very sad way. You're just afraid, and you're gonna walk on eggshells, and you're gonna accept things that you shouldn't accept. So I don't believe in the one. I believe in two people willing to make it work. And as long as that's happening, a relationship can be, until death do us apart,
Yeah,
until
exactly.
it just doesn't work.
Exactly. And that doesn't mean that I'm out there looking for other people, not at all. What it means is I'm constantly making sure that I am the one. I am my one. This is the one that I'm putting constant, consistent effort in. And my one has met your one, and we are together putting a lot of effort in. But at the same time, like when I was younger, I was in a relationship and I obviously evolved as a human. And at that time, I believed in something called the one. So as I was evolving and changing as a human and my likes and my dislikes, I was stuck in something that was, I thought I had to stay in because of the idea of the one. And actually, that got really, really, really toxic for both myself and the other person. So things happen, but I love you to bits, and there's nothing that can change that right now. And I don't want it to change.
I think I just discovered it might be the one, and that one is yourself. I was thinking, yeah, yeah. I was agreeing. I was listening to you, and I was like, yes, and because for me to be able to be in a healthy relationship like this one, it took really a longer dating process with myself, trying to find out who I am and trying to like start to love myself. And doing that loving yourself process, this is not like I'm flawless and I'm perfect. It is, you understand what your boundaries are, you understand what your needs are, and then it's very easy then to implement those boundaries and make sure that your needs are met within a relationship. Because um, a very common topic with the people I work with as well is you expect your partner to make you happy. I'm not happy, and well, my partner should make. I'm sorry. Your happiness is your relationship. Your partner can only add.
Yeah, I completely agree.
So it's like a nice bonus, but it's not your salary.
Yeah.
Your salary in terms of happiness should come from your relationship with yourself and what you are achieving.
And it's so easy to, like, for me, it's so easy to want to give everything to my partner because I care and love you. And it's so much easier for me to do that, give to you. But it's so much harder to give to yourself. It just completely is. So that whole dating yourself, understanding your traumas, the positive sides of yourself, things that you've hidden away, that is a harder dating relationship. And that is one of the ones that you should prioritize before you can start giving. Otherwise, you're just draining yourself dry.
It goes back. I just want to add, because someone asked a while back, what would be the best advice for someone that's planning to go into dating or back into dating? And it's like heal first. And then go, because if you go with some sort of undealt trauma or undealt issues, you only gonna sabotage yourself. And again, the only person that's gonna be there accepting that the struggling individuals is either going to be someone who's a predator or someone who is again in a similar position yourself, and that's how you find yourself in destructive, toxic relationships.
Can I quickly just add to that?
Yeah.
I would say that if I met you, let's say 3-4 years ago, me being, the basis of me was the same. 3-4 years ago, we would not be together. That's all, because I had so many unresolved and unidentified issues. I was going to say objects, because I cannot make unidentified issues that I needed to go to therapy for and understand. And the way I was dating reflected those issues in me. So basically, my dating habits were reflective of my trauma. So actually, if I met you 3-4 years ago when those were unresolved, you and I would have hated each other. We really would have hated each other. I've gone to therapy, I'm continuing that, I've looked at what those are, and now what I've found is someone who complements all the things that I am now aware of, which wouldn't have been the case before.
Really agree. I went, I guess, for all of my dating life from the age of 14, I guess, when you start, to 27. For me, or 28, doesn't really matter. But it was over a decade where, because of my childhood circumstances, I did not think that I can be loved. So therefore, I didn't think I can love. So I would, even if anything had any sort of resemblance of uh, having to get into a committed relationship with anything, I would immediately sabotage it in order to prevent, someone else leaving me or anything else like that, which I weirdly believed that, oh, there's no one there for me and I can't get attached to people, but I would, it took me a while of, the shadow work to realize that I I was scared of, obviously, myself and everything else. I would just sabotage. So only when I accepted that I am lovable because I found a way to love myself, then weirdly things started working out.
Cool. Okay.
Okay, next one. Maybe that's intense.
It's been a very long recording. I've realised this now.
No, it's fun.
So it's great.
It's fun. This is not about us.
Okay.
So, but I think it's interesting. How do you bring romance into a friendship?
How do you bring romance into a friendship? I don't think, if that is a question, if that feels like a calculated question, then that shouldn't be the case. Like, I feel like romance comes naturally. Like, if you are friends with someone, there's clearly a level of trust as friends and a level of trust that you will support each other. So for one person to then want to not, you might not consciously be doing this, but taking advantage of that mutual trust and mutual support to bring romance, that feels a bit predatory. So if I think it would happen naturally rather than how we're friends, we're really good friends. I want to bring romance. You could make a move, I guess. I think you could probably make a move, but you may get rejected, and would that affect your friendship? Then,
well, I guess this potentially might be my goal for 2023 is get rid of the term friend zone, because I think the idea of friend zone and almost like, oh, I've been friend zoned, like, no, you've been rejected.
Yeah. To be
And
rejected.
it's just fine. I think
Fine.
you still sticking around after you've been rejected, hoping that that person's going to be vulnerable or change their mind. It's a bit weird. Just move on. I think move on. It can happen, but I think it's a very small percentage. Majority of guys that or girls that end up being friend zoned, they never end up with that person, or they that person gets drunk or they break up and are vulnerable and they take advantage of that position. But it almost never develops into a healthy relationship. And you're just sitting there and it's misleading, and I think it's holding you back from going to experience. And it's fine. You got rejected, as we went before. We don't believe in the idea of the one. You just need to find someone that's willing to put the work in with you.
Yeah.
So in this case, if you're in a friendship and you now have some romantic thoughts, if you had those romantic thoughts the whole way, and now you waited for the other person to reciprocate, I think the best thing you can do is communicate. Because if you sit as friends and just wait for someone to be vulnerable, feels more predatory. But you also have to understand that you're communicating the fact that you have romantic interest, and it has a very high probability that's going to ruin a friendship. And again, you need to be very honest about that person, because some people might value so much as a friend that they might say yes because they don't want to lose you as a friend, because they think you might go away if they reject you. But is that, again, if someone feels forced into saying yes because they value you so much as a friend, what is the future of their relationship look like? So it's unfortunate if I don't know, if you're childhood friends and now you develop some sort of feeling, might be, a bit better. I don't exactly know your context. Communicate, expect the worst, and
Yeah.
accept the L. If it's
It's
rejection,
completely okay. Like
yeah,
every L or rejection for me, I've learned something from. Like rejection is great in retrospect. Obviously, at the time you feel shit, but at that point, it is like there's so many nuances to this. There's so many ways you can cut this up because how did you become friends? Like, are you getting the fact that this other person feels similar, but no one wants to communicate first? And if you communicate first, you're scared that actually you've misread it all and then you lose this. There's a lot. This is a hard one. So when I say it would come naturally, I think that you would start to see signs naturally. And then it's down to you to look at the pros and cons on acting on those signs in terms of communicating. But there are so many ways you can and it's a scary situation if you're not ready for the risks and rewards.
I wanted to say something, but then I realized that the situation we're in, I don't exactly know the age of the person who asked this, because I would say, should have looked at body language and really, but
Yeah.
I don't know the nature of your friendship. I don't know how much of these conversations happened through text. I don't
Yeah,
know,
so many
because the last few years been questionable how people had a chance to spend time together. So there's a lot of nuance. But yes, I think is mentally prepare yourself and like communicate, because the longer you stay, it's even if you get something feels a bit predatory, and that person might just feel either so resentful towards you
Yeah.
or remorseful that you might get delayed, but you might lose this person forever.
Yeah. So difficult. Can I quickly ask, is this still recording? Because that file folder came up.
Yeah,
Yeah? Okay.
I'm gonna have to edit. Next question.
Okay.
What does keeping personal space mean to you?
So many things. What does it mean to me? It means knowing what you like to do as an individual and what your health toolkit of things you love that feeds you as an individual, making sure that that is protected and that is also communicated with your partner. So they understand that if you have, for example, a yoga class on Tuesdays, and that is really, really important to you, your partner isn't going to go out and start booking things in at the time that you've got this thing that you love. So I think the first thing about keeping personal space, I think the phrase
Yeah.
was what's important to me to enable my growth as an individual. Have I communicated that to my partner? And have I set myself times and boundaries and things like that where I know I need that time to do that? So you obviously wouldn't go to book. And then I think there's a separate thing is when you need space, like you just feel that you feel, I don't want to use the word suffocated, but you just need time out, making sure you can communicate that to your partner too, because there's so many things like.
I run away every social gathering. I need after a couple of hours to just run away in a different room and just decompress.
Yeah.
I am a textbook introvert, and it
You
was
don't come across as one, but the things you need and your social battery and all of that is like depleted so quickly.
And I think it's hard because when you meet someone new, or I hang out with your family, and I was like, I need space. Like, I really need to like run away from here. And obviously, everyone's like, oh, is he upset? Is it? And it's just it's a matter of like, no, I'm communicating. Like, this is one of my needs, and this is one of my boundaries as well in terms of I need to have the ability to step in away.
Yeah.
And I don't want you to, make
Personally,
me. Yeah, I don't. This is not personal about you. I don't want the additional stress, because when people have needs, so they really struggle to like communicate them because it's selfish, but it's not. It just allows me to be who I am. But yes, really let's go back at that conversation. You need to kind of date yourself to
Yeah.
understand what your needs are,
Yeah.
and then set boundaries when you enter a relationship. It's again going for my professional best friend practices, where I explain to her, how is your relationship? You should have a third of your life should be dedicated to yourself, a third to your relationship, and a third to your uh, purpose, whatever it's your job. You know, if you're a stay-at-home parent, but you should have, approximately 33% put into each. And as we know, with any sort of toxic relationship, and that can be with work, that can be with a partner, that can be with a hobby, it is when something takes over so much of your life that you tend to ignore the others. And weirdly, one really common thing I'm seeing, potentially because of what I do for work, is a lot of people tend to ignore themselves because they think other people are going to be valued, but they're going to value them more. But they get burned out so much more, and they become resentful, because it's similar to how you described it. If I feel suffocated and now I feel the need to be here, and because I can't communicate to you, or I can't go away because of potential drama, I'm just going to become resentful towards you. So I think it is being very clear with what your needs are, understanding what your needs are, and set the boundaries and be realistic in how you spread and make. Obviously, relationships is about compromise, but also your relationship with yourself is equally, if not more important than the one with your partner. So
yeah, and I think I want to add to that. As I mentioned, we aren't perfect, and I definitely have done some things that have clearly affected the third split. So I really easily put my work ahead of anything else. So that I remember feeling that was putting pressure on the third of my relationship, was dedicated to my relationship, and no time was going into myself at all. So I remember when I was with you, or even just hanging around you, I didn't feel beautiful, I didn't feel hot, I didn't feel like I was this fun, bubbly person who I usually am, because that was all out of whack. Like, I was putting too much time on work, I was putting time in with you, but I was with you physically, but my mind wasn't with you. And whilst I was with you, I didn't like myself. So it's about, like, sometimes taking a step back and just reevaluating that, like setting yourself mini goals, because I often get out of the habit of doing things I love. I really do. And you remind me about that quite a lot. So I think it's not just communicating once, it's constant communication. And often when we spend too much time together, we end up having to be like, we need a day completely apart. And it makes so much difference. It's amazing.
it makes it exciting again, in a way, because spending time apart. In my time where I thought I was unable to have a relationship, I studied relationships, and I would talk to people that had 20, 30-year relationships that they reported as being happy, which is quite rare after that time. And everyone's had one thing in common, and that is they had a life outside of their relationship.
Yeah.
And it was interesting to me because they had separate friends, separate hobbies, and it was interesting to me realizing, is that what made it interesting as well? Because if you have a life of your own outside of your relationship, it only enriches the relationship, because you go there and you get some new information, some new stories, some new connections, and you can bring them in. I go there, and this is how we enrich ourselves. I think the people get very high on the initial infatuation of relationships. I was like, I want to spend all the time in the world with this. And we're just very lucky that you just happen to be my best friend, so we really like to hang out. We're both weird, but it's equally as important for us to step away and do other things, because that is really what makes it interesting when we're back, because we have exciting things to share with each other.
Yeah. And I just, on that point, and this might sound rude, but it doesn't mean to be, but if you don't have a person like your own time and you have stuff that you like yourself and you go off and do your own thing, what the hell do you talk to your partner about? Like, what conversation are you having? Like, honestly, like, your nails are nice, like, and you're probably not even compliment each other because you probably hate each other so much and there's a lot of resentment
And
there.
also, I don't care about your nails.
Yeah, like, well, what are you talking about? I'm confused. If you don't have a life of your own hobbies, your own interests, when you come to spend time with your partner, what the fuck do you talk about? Anyway, that was
Weather.
me.
I
Yeah,
mean,
nice.
that's why and the only things that people talk about, end up talking about, is just like work, and
Yeah.
and you trying to
Yeah.
get away from work, and the only things you talk about work is the negative stuff about work, because again,
Yeah.
if you don't work in the same field, you don't even know what. Like when I used to work in the pharmaceutical manufacturing, it's such a unique environment that someone that doesn't have the knowledge of it's like a sci-fi movie, and so for me trying to explain it to you, it would be I'm no I I know I do sometimes explain random things to you, and you just listen because you kind of like, I'm trying to imagine how
I
this,
really do,
machine
yeah.
that, but I'm like, it's impossible. Like, if you're not there, it's very impossible. And it was just talking about work and trying to escape work. I'm like, well, that's not interesting. So you need to find something that's relatable, or something that hopefully, if I'm bringing in, then we can both experience it together.
Yeah. Yeah, if you have common interests,
Yeah.
you obviously have that shared in common, but then you obviously go away, do your own research, enrich yourself with with new information, then come back and talk about it. Like, if you don't have your own time to go away and enrich yourself, you're literally just listening to your partner, which would get fucking boring. Imagine.
Yeah. Uh, okay. Who has the better hair?
So we both have really good hair, I would say. I think because people don't associate men with long hair and having
I have
grey
the shock
hair,
factor for
you've
sure.
got the shock factor hair for sure. Like, there's no, it looks great. I love your hair so much. I love playing with it, and it looks amazing. But my hair is great. Like, that doesn't take away from the fact that my hair is really good.
I think if we compare it just hair, we have
Similar
similar hair.
really similar. Yeah.
Similar hair in terms of like density and thickness. I think mine might be a bit more colorful, but it's purely the shock factor.
Yeah.
Because for you in in the woman space, you have good hair. Me in the male space, I
You've
have
got good hair.
amazing hair.
Yeah.
Like, it's just, but in terms of if you just take the hair and ignore the person carrying it, yeah, I think
Yeah.
we're quite equal.
One thing I do want to say is you look after your hair so much better than mine. You have colour in your hair, it's highlighted more frequently than I've only recently got my hair bleached in some bits. And I can barely look after this, whereas your hair is really healthy. So in that sense, I think you've got better hair than me, because that's what you do. Your hair is really big for you. I've taken advantage of me having great hair because I've always had it, whereas this is something so like almost new for you, kind of.
I guess this might be a moment to share why I grew my hair, but
Yeah, it's a good
for
point.
me, it's when I completely changed my lifestyle as a token of my newfound freedom, was growing my hair out for the first time in my life. And because I appreciate their journey so much, now I associate my hair with this new person and everything else. So it has a weird tokenism
Yeah.
for me. And I'm not gonna lie, it's cool because it's a constant source of compliments. If
Yeah.
you walk around and if anyone said it's nice to get compliments, I'm like, oh, you have great hair. I'm like, thank you very much. And also, I kind of started,
spike of happiness in there, yeah.
and I started nerding about it. That's why we started making the hair products myself and everything else. It was because I'm like, if I'm growing my hair, initially it was not very nice, because as any guy, I just used 2-in-1 shampoo.
The shampoo that you wash your body with,
Yeah.
wash your hair with. There's even shampoo out there that you wash your dishes with. I've used it before, hiking, trekking. Like, it does everything. You wash your clothes with it too.
Yeah. So the hair was not great, and I would not gonna lie, I would judge guys with long hair that look just homeless. It's like, okay, if I want to do this long hair thing, I need to do it well because otherwise I just cut it off. Like it's part of who I am. But yes, I do love my hair.
Good hair.
It's good hair. Okay, how do you solve conflicts?
How
I
do
guess.
we solve conflict? So, communication, obviously. I
Fist fights.
still, I am still,
That's why we have swords here.
yeah, no, joking. But I feel like this is a part, conflicts is an area that I need to work on a lot more. Me, my therapist, me, myself, just generally getting used to taking information and not putting it through a lens that is quite negative, because I often do that. Like any information that comes towards you goes through your own lens, and that lens is basically, could be a trauma lens. It's your perception, right? You could be saying the weather's nice, and I'm like, what the fuck are you telling me the weather's nice? What? My hair looks shit. Also, I don't know, whatever. So communication is definitely the key. But you actually really helped me with that quite a lot. I feel like you're better at resolving conflicts and enabling me to resolve it in my own way. Because I feel like I am naturally quite short-tempered, really, which is such a shame because I want to work on that. So you really helped me in that sense.
Yeah, I guess because I have a very not very I had a violent past and I've seen a lot of violence, and it took me many years of trying to find a way to not get emotional during arguments, because for me any sort of conflict immediately resulted in violence growing up. So now I have worked a lot not to get emotional during arguments. Or if I get emotional, I just step away and come back to it as a conversation. And I really think I made a video about it. You argue the argument, you don't argue the person. So if we disagree on something, we talk about that thing. I think what a lot of people get very wrapped up is in the obsession of them being right. And if you go in there trying to be right, people start, throwing sand in their eyes and want to win. So they're gonna, try to throw backhanded insult or go stir away from the topic and just attack the person just to make them more vulnerable so they feel like they won. But the goal of any argument between us is to
come out with a better outcome.
Yeah, I just want to have my relationship. I don't want to be right if it means I'm losing my relationship just because I'm obsessed about being right. Like the outcome is for us to learn from this experience and be better. I'm not trying to just make you feel worse. So I think it's the intent of the argument, and argue the argument, not the person, and stick to facts. And if you truly feel like you're emotional, set those boundaries up in terms of let's not talk about it now. Like, hey, I just need a bit of let's just go on a walk. I don't know what. Or even better, eat something.
Yeah, definitely.
It's the beautiful science shows that majority of household disputes are directly linked with fluctuation of blood sugar levels. So being hungry is the core of a lot of household disputes. So eat something together and then try to have the conversation. If you eat and sleep and you still want to argue about that thing, potentially it's worth arguing about.
Yeah, I think the one thing that really has helped me in this, because weird, at work, conflict isn't, when I think about conflict, I just mean like disagreement in thoughts. And I can very well articulate myself and explain why I think something is right, but also I can listen to the other person and be like, and just understand actually they've got a better point than me, and then I will give in. So that I can do that. When it comes to like debates, we're really good. We argue the argument, not the person. Sometimes when things trigger me, and I react immediately, I'm sometimes, not always, I don't react in the best of ways. But one thing that Soren often says to me is, I'm on your side. Remember, I'm on your side. Because that's it. Why would we be butting heads? Like we're a team, right? And that's really, really helpful. And yeah, it's an area that I can get better at. But yeah, it's a learning journey. I'm not like, yeah, it's just an area I can get better at, I think. And arguments are like, you learn something about each other, right? Like, for example, you mentioned the hungry thing. You know that I get really, really frustrated and angry and so worked up when I'm hungry. And it's like a complete, now it's not, we laugh about it now, but it actually is a thing. It's like if I start getting overwhelmed, you're like, okay, should we get some food? Even cycles, so my menstrual cycle, you're aware of that, I'm aware of that. So we both communicate, actually, it's this day of the cycle. I know I'm going to be getting quite aggressive because sometimes what happens. But yeah, it's communication.
Yeah, it's the number one advice for relationships. It is learning how to argue. Like if you master arguing, that's it. If you know how to argue with yourself, because everything else, everyone says, communication, and that's the core. It's such an open-ended like answer. I'm like, talk to each other. I'm like, yeah, but if what you're talking about and the way you're talking about is, it is learn how to argue is the first one, and listen on both ends. I'm pretty sure a lot of people encounter this, and it's something that really pisses me off when I talk to someone and they're already
made up their mind.
They already made up their mind before I even finish the sentence, and they're just ready to talk. And I'm like, no, I don't want to participate in this conversation because you're not listening and then forming it. Even if the conversation takes longer, it's fine.
That's the thing. A lot of the time in external arguments, or even arguments that happen online, it's people who have a point already. They don't want to listen. So immediately, you are the bad person. I don't care what you say. I am right. And like, it's just not the way. I also wanted to mention the opposite of conflict. So I know I've mentioned I sometimes get a bit hot-headed, is I've been in past relationships where I haven't argued at all. I almost was like a sheep. I gave myself so much, and that in itself was just as bad as getting into like the worst conflict, because it was conflict with myself where I knew something was wrong, but I didn't stand up for myself. So they're two ends of the spectrum, both extremely toxic, basically, if you can't deal with it in a balanced way.
Yeah, in one way you build resentment towards your partner, and the other example you build resentment towards yourself.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Was it hard to find a girl that likes beards? I guess this is for me. I guess no, if you do like online dating or you have a beard and you walk around, and the people who answer back to you, they potentially like beards. So I don't think it's much of an issue. Funny enough, yesterday we were out and some guy complimented me on my beard, and I was like, grow one. I'm like, oh, he said I wanted to grow one, but my girl doesn't let me, which
that's weird.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
I find that so
weird. That's a bit strange, but again.
Yeah, that phrasing is weird. Yeah, my girl or my boyfriend or my girlfriend, whatever it is, doesn't let me.
That's weird.
Grow a beard, do it. Like, again, you don't belong to anyone. That's just weird.
Yeah, if they say like my girlfriend doesn't like it and I choose not to because I pick my battles, that is a perfect answer.
Yeah.
Like relationship is about compromises, but it doesn't let me seems, I don't know, weird. But yes, the girl who likes beards, they like beards, so it's actually a bonus. People who don't like beards, they don't like beards. I remember years ago I went out someplace and this random girl just showed up. I never seen her before. She was just there. I'm like, I like what you got going on, but I need to shave the beard. I'm like, hello, who are you?
Yeah. Do you know what's really, sorry, one thing I'm going to say is what really gets me is sometimes I read your comments on Instagram and there are entitled people who think that they can just say, shave your beard off. Like, that doesn't make, like, how dare you, person on the internet, join someone's page and then just boss you around to change your look. Lose an arm.
No,
take your beard off. It's weird. It's like, don't do that.
I answer to those comments sometimes, and I say, well, after you lose some weight, and then they get really pissed off. I'm like, oh, how dare you tell me? I'm like, that's exactly what you just did.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing. Like, that's bad. So you shouldn't be doing it.
Yeah,
like
if you feel bad of someone
bad.
telling you to change how you look because of some stranger's opinion,
Yeah.
like I'm like, maybe, yes,
Anyway.
it's strange. Let's go to the next one. Girls who like beards like beards. That's what it is. They are out there. Plenty of them. Check my comment section.
Yeah. Very true. Get them up. Slide into their DM.
Yeah. Ooh. How do you feel knowing that your partner gets a lot of attention?
This is going to make people weird. I love it. I love that my partner gets attention. And I believe you like that I get attention too. Like, I think, as I said, we are individuals. If, like, I want to make sure as an individual, I love myself, and that means doing myself up the way I like to look. And that means I get attention sometimes. And I like the fact that we have that for each other, because that does not affect the fact that we have shared values, and like, there's trust between us, and like our love for each other is not affected by the fact that other people like you. And if there is some sort of relationship between that, there's like, it just makes sense to me, because they're two separate things. I also like the fact that it makes me feel proud knowing that this is my partner and he's really hot and other people like it. But it also makes me, almost gives that edge and that competition. Like, I want to keep looking after myself, for myself, but also because there's loads of competition out there. And that's quite exciting for me. I love that, but that's because I've worked for years on insecurities. So I don't feel like I'm insecure in that way.
Yeah, I completely agree. For me, it's when you get some attention. We walk on the street, and obviously sometimes we can't fit, so I walk behind you. And I feel like I see people like looking at you and checking you out and showing them like. I was like, yeah, we all agree. Like, I agree to that too. I'm just fortunate to.
Yeah.
I think it's important for you to have obviously healthy boundaries on how you respond to this attention, and I think you can't be mad at. You should be proud that your partner gets attention. The only thing you can be mad at is their reaction, and I think we have very, I don't know, common sense boundaries. There hasn't been any sort of conflict. But yes, because I had some experiences in the past, the only reason why I can be online and do what I do is because of your lack of insecurity when it comes to this, and the fact that you are supportive and we can, laugh together.
I love it. Like, if you write cringy comments on his posts, I encourage you to, because I love reading them. It's like the funnest thing ever. I also like the fact that you like attention. Like, I remember when we first started dating, one of the things we were talking about is the fact that you wanted attention, like you wanted it, and I like it too. I like getting attention for the way I look, and it doesn't mean I'm going out of my way to seek it, but it's a nice little boost of like compliments. Someone complimenting you is nice.
For me personally, is my aesthetics it's a completely different project than my intellect. Some people might know I used to be a professional video game player. I have a trophy over here.
So many things.
Yeah, I used to be a professional video game player, and I always enjoyed the character I played with to look cool. Not just be very strong, but also look cool. It made me play better, weirdly. So the project of how I look, it's a separate thing, like my in-game avatar. And getting attention is someone appreciating my art.
Yeah.
And the effort I put into, the aesthetics, the hair, how I try to like present myself, and being creative, because a big part in the male scene is everyone is trying to just be so one particular. I don't want to show any sort of creativity. I just need to look like tough, and that's the only. I want to be able to. There's two extremes that I'm seeing in males. It's I want to look tough. It doesn't matter. I just want to look like a badass, or I go and I'm extremely feminine. And I think there's an in between for people who want to be masculine, but also like to smell nice. So
It's just about range. Like, it's not one or the other. I just
yeah,
don't believe that. I just like to be who I am when I want to be. Like, some days um I feel one way, and the other day I feel like I want to wear loads of makeup, and like, it's about having range as a human, and it's about having that confidence to be part, like, to engage in that range. Some people get stuck in this look that is expected of them, but that is insecurity that gets them stuck there. It really is. If you are confident in who you are, regardless of what you look like, you can definitely pull off anywhere on that range. Um,
and I think
and you'll
it's
get complimented by different people at each different
yeah.
stage. It's just fun.
It's a fun project. It's a
Yeah.
fun creative project. I think that's what it is. Getting attention for how you look is like getting attention for your music if you're a musician. I can't sing, I can't draw, but my creative outlet is how I present myself to the world. So in a way, yes, it's fun. And going back at getting attention from other people, I completely agree. It makes me challenge myself, and also me getting attention from other people makes me so happy about our relationship,
Mm,
because I know I choose to be here every day.
yeah.
I, again, going back potentially to the conversation of the one, feeling like you're trapped and like this is the best I'll ever do, I can't go anywhere, I have to accept it can be suffocating, it can be limiting. It's seeing, because I'm really in a unique position to get bombarded with compliments, which I'm really thankful for, but it reminds me so much of how much I value this, because I look at that and like, this is so nice, but there's no part of me questioning, like, maybe I should. There's nothing. And it brings me so much joy. It's so weird
Yeah.
because I get the compliments, but I'm like, I made the right, like I'm doing the right thing in my relationship, that this has no
Yeah.
impact on me.
Yeah.
Besides, obviously, it's nice to hear
Yeah.
because it's nice to hear.
Yeah.
Okay, let me go to the next one. I have a few left. Few left.
This has taken longer than I actually ever expected. I didn't think we'd be as like in flow to this.
I
Like it. It's fun.
yeah, I told you it's
The beginning
at
is
the
hard.
beginning it's awkward. Every
Yeah.
time I do a podcast or anything, as soon as you get in a conversation,
Yeah.
it's like, I want to be here for 5 hours.
When we go for walks, we have these really long, amazing debates and conversations, and we're always like, "Oh, I really want to film this," but there's no way you can capture that conversation. So this is the first time we're ever doing it, and it's
Um,
okay.
okay, this question might be connected to the one previous. And how does social media impact your relationship?
I think so. We spoke about the attention bit. I think that's fine. The thing has impacted me. Two things have impacted me. The first is um, sometimes we haven't recently, but a lot of racist comments. I think you like the Viking aesthetic and a lot of the mythology, but also when it comes to some of those communities, it's sometimes related to quite racist communities. Not always, because we know a lot of amazing people in the community, but yeah.
There are some bad apples, and I
Yeah.
think that is in terms of the worst experience in terms of social media. Because if I get negative comments, it's fine. I don't really care about, yes, because whatever they can. I don't like everyone, so I don't expect everyone to like me.
Yeah.
But when it was a barrage, because one of my posts, I guess
We were both
we were
drunk.
both dressed up, and because of there's a big not a small portion of the Norse pagan community, whatever, when it goes to the hashtags, it got to a very racist part of the internet. And as a interracial couple, I've been told that I betrayed my race, and they started calling her a goblin and all sorts of names. And I think that's the only time I was like, this is.
Yeah, it got bad. It was like,
yeah,
super.
that was bad.
Right.
And but in in all honesty, um, the good outweighs the bad. Like
Yeah, for
even
sure.
when I talked about that, the support we got from people um, was, disproportionately positive compared to that. But it does make you tread carefully.
It also reminds you that there are dark areas of social media and the internet, obviously.
Yeah, I think it is, and I've been surprisingly good, I think, at keeping some boundaries. Like when we have social gatherings or when we do stuff, sometimes I don't want to take pictures. I don't want to like the content I do. I don't want to share too much of our life because it's similar to how we talked about having a healthy relationship. You need to have a life
Yeah,
outside of social media. You
yeah.
need to have some sort of a life outside of just your partner.
I mean,
So
that is
you
a
have
relationship, though. Social
yeah.
media is a relationship with your
Well,
hundreds of
it
thousands of
becomes
people.
it became work. So it is very important for me to keep those boundaries, and I yeah, there's always going to be some sort of limitations of what I'm sharing. I'm very open about emotions and feelings because I want to open up the conversation on mental health. But I am very reluctant, and I'm also struggling a bit now to. I used to initially respond to all the comments, and I used to read all the comments, and I'll kind of just go through, and depending on my mindset for that day, I can just avoid now reading comments for a few days because there's majority of them might be positive because of evolutionary how we evolved. You can have 1,000 positive comments, but if you have one negative one that is super nasty, because evolutionary we evolved to seek danger, not to look at the nice stuff. So it
Yeah.
could be a beautiful scenery behind, but if there's a bush that moves and it could be danger, you're gonna be paying attention at that, and that's gonna be your only
Mm.
focus. So you can see 1,000 positive comments, but if one of them is so nasty, that's the one that's gonna catch your attention. And depending on what state of mind you are for the day, it could be something that can stick with you for a long time. So it does feel uh, it was weird because I was thinking, am I becoming that person that doesn't want to talk to people? But I have DMs and I have like subscribers where I kind of have more of a personal relationship. But yes, I think when you get presented to a larger audience, you need to become more conservative with what
For
you're
sure. You
sharing.
have to have
Yeah, to
boundaries
have
as well.
boundaries because people are out there and some people have malicious intent. And when it comes to like racism or sexism, some of these things, again, if you hate someone or you dislike them because of their personality, you are entitled to. I don't think. But if you just hate on them
Because, yeah.
for something stupid as skin color or when that doesn't make sense to me,
Yeah.
so I will just like if I see anything like that, I just try to remove myself from
Yeah.
that conversation immediately.
And I think that there's a few, like, the question was, how has it affected your
Yeah.
relationship? And I actually initially had only two. One of them was racism. I've got a few more. So I think the the second thing I wanted to say is there have been so many positive things that have come out of you being on social media. I was on it previously. I've been on it for years, and I haven't seen or leveraged it enough to make as many opportunities as we have now. Like we've met amazing people, we've had so many amazing experiences, been incredible in that way, and we've met incredible small businesses from around the world. And then another negative I would say is similar to the racism thing, but because you are, as the internet would call, a cis white male, he is already you're already the villain, and you don't get affected by this because you're very good at having those healthy arguments. As a female who I would say an empowered female, a female of color, um, and someone who just I work my ass off, and I feel really proud of how far I've come and everything I do for the female community. To see random people online say that you are a misogynist drives me fucking mad. Like, it drives me mad because I'm like, they just see you for what you are and immediately make all these assumptions, not knowing that I am the woman who stands beside you and supports you. So it's social media has reminded me of the ignorance in the world, I would say.
Yeah, it's in this sense, I guess I'm making a lot of effort ignoring it or trying to because
It upsets me more than it
yeah,
really
it upsets you because like I know what I put out there. So if you like, it's fine, but you don't know me, and it is weird because I think personally I could add a lot of value to some of these conversations and topic and support. And when you immediately bastardized because of the color of your skin, ironically.
And
Yeah.
your gender or whatever.
Like, yeah, it's nothing that I had control over. It's,
Yeah.
I was born in this body with this skin color, and then just immediately being weirdly treated like a lesser citizen for certain demographics.
Racism,
Yeah,
basically.
that's what it is. But it's funny because this comes from white women. So yeah, more than often it comes from that. So it is hypocritical, but I can go and talk for hours on why that it's so appealing to them to just be angry, because if you have something that you're angry at all the time, you are perpetually distracted from doing any inner work and looking at what you have.
Yeah.
So people just seek a constant distraction by getting angry and attacking people online. So a majority of time I just ignore it, or if depending, the only time I responded and it became a thing is when it ruined one of my evenings because I told you and you're like really pissed off. I'm like, okay.
I was pissed off. I was like completely upset. I was distraught at a comment about you being a misogynist.
So I think that's when
I'm his girlfriend. It just makes no sense to me because I'm like, we are like in this relationship, equals, but we do like we both lean into things that we're both good at. So we're equals, but actually I'm not equal when it comes to cooking, for example. I'm not equal when it comes to the things you do, and you're not equal when it comes to the things I do. So we complement each other. So for someone to call you misogynist, like, it got really up. It was just upsetting.
Yeah, but the way I even tell other people to deal with it, if a toddler comes and tells you something on the street, like, you're not going to get affected, right? Like I'm looking at somebody speaking, I'm like, you're just a hurt individual. Like, you do you. Like, depending on how much time I have that day, I'm going to engage or not. But yes, it is, I guess, somehow how it affected us. I think if we look at the bigger picture, I think it affected us in a positive way.
Yeah.
But there are some instances that, yeah, in a way, I think it's similar to how what everyone has with work, but this work just happens to be with there's no HR.
Yeah.
There's no HR looking after you, so you have to take the abuse. And again, when there is a curse of becoming slightly viral, a lot of people want followers and likes. When your face is being seen by a couple of million people, get ready, because there's going to be a bunch of new people that don't know anything about you, and they have something going on in their life right now, and they just use you as a vessel to unload. So one advice for anyone that's planning to go on social media and trying to be a content creator or putting themselves out there publicly is, a lot of people hope that it will get a lot of traction, but also I don't know if everyone's ready for what it comes. So it can be amazing and it's good, but you need to make sure that you did the work within yourself, because if you go in with insecurities, the internet is going to shred you apart.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, next question. How many more have we got?
A couple of more.
Okay, cool.
What makes a good relationship?
It's a broad question. So I would say being attracted to your partner is one. As much as people are like, can love be blind? And can you be in a healthy relationship when you're just not attracted to your partner? For me, the answer is, I don't know if I should swear, but fuck no. I just don't think that's possible. So I think being attracted to each other, physically, but also values wise. If your values are attracted to each other, aligned, um, that's really important. And when I think talk about values, it's like your core values. What are the things that are deepest for you? And a lot, like for example, one of mine would be like accountability. So like I really value people that can be accountable for some of the things that they do, for all the things that they do. So core values being aligned. Going to be cliche, but communication is really, really important. Over communicate. I think that's really, if you think you're communicating too much, I don't think it can ever be too much. And if it is too much, your partner can then over communicate back to you.
Can I add something on to that? Because I think communication is used a lot, and I think
like it's too broad, right?
But I think it is because it's accurate. Communication with action.
Yeah.
Because if you just communicate and you don't follow up with, action after you communicated, then you actually widen the gap between you two.
Yeah.
Because needs were communicated, boundaries were communicated, whatever it is, and if then there's not a follow-up action connected to it, actually goes. Do you have anything else you're going to add?
The only other thing I was going to say, and actually you can probably finish it off, is what makes a good relationship is science, is understanding your biology in terms of dopamine and what makes you tick, and the way, for example, understanding your cycles, but like really understanding you as an individual and the science of you and psychology of you is really important. And I'm going to leave that on to you because there are so many things that we've spoken about in terms of like competitiveness and testosterone and things I think is so fucking interesting and has helped me a lot and helped us when we...
Yeah, I think that's potentially going to be another video if you want to see it, because I feel like discussing hormones and relationship could be an hour-long conversation on its own. But yes, looking after and understanding yourself on a neurobiology and hormonal level can have a great impact in how you can predict like outcomes. For example, the one thing that if you not really excited about chasing your partner, putting any heavy work in, male or female, most likely the culprit of that would be low testosterone. There's causes for low testosterone between bad diet, lack of exercise, medication that messes up with your hormones. One common one is with females when it comes to
menstrual cycles.
Menstrual cycle and the pill or any sort of hormonal birth control. You are castrating yourself, and doing that, it only also affects your testosterone, which it tends to lower female testosterone about 60%. So it makes you not want to, chase any sort of partners, which is one of them, and that's why a lot of women tend to describe themselves as asexual when they're on a pill. But also, the role of testosterone is making hard work feel good, bringing this level of competitiveness where it can be a healthy competition. And, if we look at our relationship and other people, if, you lack that fire, that almost animalistic urge, go be competitive with your partner. Spend a day doing something.
Go and do something competitive. Yeah.
See the effect it has on you when you go home, how you want to act up with each other. And it goes, again, libido, because when it comes to being intimate and having a libido during sex, estrogen plays a massive part, again, male and female. So if male estrogen is too low, you might feel like you want to chase, but when you get in that moment, you might not be able to get aroused enough if your hormones are all out of whack. And again, it could be mental, and the stress has a big part because if your levels of cortisol are high, it messes up.
Cortisol is the stress hormone.
Yeah, it messes up with your, testosterone and estrogen. But you understanding that and then doing something to prevent it, because you might think the reason why you might not be attracted to your partner and it has this, why it could just be the place you are in your monthly cycle, the type of medication you've been on, potentially you've been on some, even something like an antibiotic. So yes, science is cool.
Science, bitch.
Yeah, science is so cool
Science.
because it's, knowledge of knowledge is the key
Yeah.
to, like, if I'm lacking motivation, what can I do? I'm like, it's really interesting when you dive into this world to then make the lifestyle choices to then get the results you want in the long term.
Even when it comes to things like sunlight outside, like we were talking about recently, I was getting so tired and it was making me really subconscious that I wasn't being very productive because I was getting tired at 4 o'clock. And I like to have a very cozy setup. So the candles will be on at 4 o'clock as soon as it gets dark. Candles are on, fairy lights are on, but the lights are off. And I was getting tired. So I really barely had any time or like oomph for you. And then we had the conversation about how much your brain basically thinks it's going to sleep. So it will make you feel even more tired, and it's 5 o'clock. So what we now do is, what I've tried to do is be really conscious about putting all the lights on and putting as much light to make sure that my brain does not fall asleep. So just understanding how your body works has really helped our relationship. I've got one more thing, but you go next.
And what makes a good relationship, going back at the initial conversation, it is because we both share that too. It's an equal amount of giving and taking, or proportional amount. I don't think we all talk about making compromise, and it is true. But yes, you have to, stick to the line, which is a relationship. So you have to, you sometimes demand more, but sometimes you give more. But you have to be over, longer period of time, consistent with how much you demand and how much you give in a relationship in order to keep that balance and make it work in the long term. So it is very simple. It could just be, I'm in charge of food in the house. She tends to be in charge of the cleaning up. I left a mess one day that was disproportional to, like, it was, and then she's just like, hey, and I look, I'm like, okay, I see it. This is taking the piss. Again, it's very simple to, like, noticing that even if on paper, or not on paper, is how we have this spoken agreement that I deal with food, you deal with tidied up. You are not a parent that you need to tidy up after me, after everything. So it was a simple moment of like, okay, I need to put a bit more effort in this to make sure that it's okay because your time is as equally valuable as mine. Yeah. So little things like that.
And I think that is the danger of a lot sometimes of relationships is one person giving too much. So you end up becoming a parent in the relationship. And that is dangerous. As soon as you feel like you've become the parent in a relationship, there's so much resentment that can build up there. Hence why the consistent giving and receiving between two people is really, really important, because that line that you cross in the middle where it's completely equal is like what I believe love is. And before I was really, really hesitant. Like, I think one of the first debates we ever had is I didn't believe in the concept of love, because, and I couldn't really understand why, but then I was able to articulate it with this drawing. We'll share the drawing with you. But the drawing is the consistent giving and receiving. And I just didn't feel that in relationships many people were consistently equally giving and receiving. So that didn't equal love in my brain. So yeah.
Yeah, and in terms of adult relationships, it becomes a parent-child type of dynamic. That's not sexy.
Yes.
That's a bit, personally, that's a bit creepy. I think, and
Like carer.
Our type of relationship is very much what relationship I wanted, which is a partnership. So I want an adult by my side. I don't want another, child like I need to look after and I feel like I have power over. That's not necessarily my goal.
Yeah.
Because there's way more benefits in the modern world to have two adults. So it's very important to make sure that both of you stay adults. And if you want to have childish fun, that's completely different.
Yeah, exactly.
It is the consistent. You should be an exchange of two adults. Okay,
last one, I think.
Last one. Well, two more, but the other one is pretty simple. But this one is interesting. Thoughts on polyamory?
So I don't want to be in a polyamorous relationship. But I understand why it works. I truly understand why it works if that's exactly what the couple wants and it's fully communicated. I often see that the foundations of polyamory in the situations I've seen aren't clear. So one person in the relationship thinks they're being clear and the other person is kind of like tagging along. That doesn't work. And I often feel like when it comes to understanding your needs and that drive that you want, if you're not getting that from a partner and you're able to communicate that and your partner isn't able to give that, sometimes it then opens up the conversation to, you can't give me what I need, you're aware of that, you're not willing to give it to me, I need it, so I want to look somewhere else, are you accepting of that? So if the communication is crystal clear and the values and beliefs and the intentions are aligned, that will make it work. All those things together is really fucking hard to do. So I think it really only works purely in very few situations.
Yeah, I feel as a guy, because of, again, we're looking at evolution, instinctually, there is that drive of collect spread your seed and get as many partners as possible. And in terms of the response, with dopamine and testosterone as well, we're adding an additional partner into the mix, and that's what makes cheating so exciting for people in a way. But this is where, if you understand the science, if you understand that the reason why you feel so almost depressed and unstimulated in your relationship could be just a hormonal thing, and there's ways around it for you to get what you want without having to jeopardize your relationship. I think it should be something that should be discussed, because relationships evolve. If you're together 20, 30 years, majority of people that manage to make polyamory work, from what I experienced, are the older couple.
Yeah, that's why.
The younger ones, that they just think it's fun and it's just a couple of years of experimentation, which is fine, but it's not polyamory. It's just fuck around and find out.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, there's more mature couples that understand their needs and they have their center home and they go and could be swingers, could be whatever. It's polyamory comes in multiple flavors. It is very much finding out what works with you in your partner, and if you both agree and it's consensual, it could work. Obviously, it can add an additional layer of complexity, but a lot of these issues, again, stem into biology, and there's other ways to tackle biology nowadays to get the same feeling in a way. But again, it's such a complex. It can work, and it can work for some, but you also can destroy some other people.
I also think that it's again so nuanced, because my experience is I know people who, for example, have got married for the wrong reasons, or have done things because they felt forced to. So staying together was just toxic, but not wanting to leave, for example. You don't want to feel trapped. So for some people, it's worked for them to have that communication at that point, being we started off on the wrong foot. so the way we can get around this, because we don't want to leave this unit, is to have an open relationship, for example. As you said, polyamory comes in so many different flavors. It could be that you have a home base and then you go off and you come back and you don't ever talk about it, or it could be swingers, or it can be you have a third person in a relationship, or you can just have sex with a third person. Like, there are so many different ways that it could work, but being completely honest with yourself and with each other about where that intention is coming from is so important. I truly don't think many people are secure enough mentally to be polyamorous. I know that sounds really harsh, but you have to deal with jealousy head on when it comes to a polyamorous relationship. And if you have insecurities that are undealt with, and you're just following on for the sake of it, or because you want to make your partner happy,
I have an almost disgusting comment, but everyone fantasizes, especially with guys, they fantasize about threesomes.
Yeah.
But people who had threesomes realize that it's actually
one person's left out.
Yeah, it's actually not that, there's way more value in terms of finding intimacy and being able to be playful and creative with just one person and like toys or whatever, than bring another person and just making it awkward. Because the only value of your threesome in that case is you being able to show off to your friends, is not you actually having a better experience.
Yeah.
So it's similar, I'm thinking, with polyamory. Some people think like, oh, this would be very cool. And it can be. But if you're not well equipped emotionally, it can ruin you.
Yeah.
Because if you have a good relationship that you just push too far, or all of a sudden, I don't know, it's as anything amazing, it could be amazing, but as anything amazing, there's going to be a risk to it.
Yeah.
That's not playing it safe. And it can work, but you need to be in a very good place.
Yeah, agreed. That's why I think it works mostly with mature couples mature couples who have been equal in partnership along. So you're like really narrowing down the statistics in terms of when this is actually going to work. But overall, I understand why it would work, and I'm for it for other people. Like I don't think there's anything wrong with it, considering all these different other things. I don't want to be in a polyamorous relationship.
Let's wrap it up.
Yes.
With a very common. No, I have one more question. That's.
Oh no! What? What is it?
Marriage.
That's not a question. That's a word.
Are you? I think the question was multiple questions were around marriage.
Should we say it?
Are we planning to get married? What are your thoughts on marriage?
The answer is no. We're not planning to get married. I believe that marriage is outdated. Previously, it was a business decision, right? It was because two families came together, and maybe they, you would rule a country or whatever. It was a business decision. I just don't believe in it. Full stop. I think that you and I want to have we want a massive party, to celebrate our love.
It's gonna be Viking furs and
like everything.
Fire.
We want to celebrate our love and celebrate the people that we love, and we just want to fucking celebrate love, really. At the same time, as we said, we don't believe in the one, so I don't believe that the government has anything to sort of add to the fact that you evolve as a person, relationships evolve, nothing's certain. I don't think that genders get equal, sort of like, they're not equally, if you were to go through a divorce, they're not paid out equally, basically. I think it only works for one side. I don't see the need for it. I mean, if we had to move country or something and it was like, you must get married, we would do it reluctantly, I would say.
It would be like a business move.
Again, a business move. So for me, the answer is no, it's a business move. I love you so much. You're amazing. Marriage and government have nothing to do with this. So
my answer to this usually is, and funny enough, I talked about it earlier, marriage is the lamest threesomes. Why would I bring my government into a threesome?
Yeah, if you want polyamory, get married.
Yeah, don't bring the government into your relationship. And as you stated, it is like, I don't need a contract for what it is. And just to follow up, I guess this was not a question. it's relevant because a lot of people, children, we do not want children. Who knows? Potentially, as a kid who came foster care, if I'm older, potentially I look at adopting or looking after someone, but that's down the line. So I guess if you don't want children and you just want to be two adults that want to spend their life together for as long as it works, bringing the government in to keep you there, it's pointless. Yes, unless it's
toxic. I think it really
it's
is.
just it puts again. We talked about it. If you think that you're trapped in that relationship because it would ruin your life if you try to leave, it is very common when it comes to divorce and how divorce court works for some people, and then you feel forced to stay in a relationship that's no longer serving you because the government is stopping you and you don't know. That's not a place you want to be at. So yes, a massive party with fire and
dancing,
people in our lives, and I think that is yes, like that's the right type of even like the wedding business is so corrupt. It's a very expensive party.
One of the things that we spoke about today was when people say getting married was the best day of my life, actually scientifically that is the worst thing you could actually do, because you envisage the end goal, so your dopamine ends up like dropping basically, so you're no longer happy as soon as you've envisaged that end goal. The way your brain works, it just doesn't.
Rather than being excited for a life together with that person, a lot of people get excited about the wedding is going to be the best day of my life, and then when that's over, you will follow it up with depression, and then you compare your life, and there is again that scientific relationship with your hormones and neurotransmitters for you to understand how to manage your happiness, because it's not what's sold on TV. It is about you finding ways to be happy. And yes, they're gonna try to sell you an overly expensive party, but that overly expensive party could also, besides put you in debt, mess you up mentally for years to come when it comes to your neurotransmitter balance, which is ridiculous. But I don't think it's news to people that people don't care about you. They're just, if there's money to be made. So find a way that works. For us, it works like this. If we have to move out of the country, and so I'm German, and if we need some European Union passports, then we can consider finding a way. But it would be and sign a paper to get it done, not necessarily trying to involve the government in our relationship long term.
That doesn't mean that we look down on people that are married. I just want to make sure that's clear. It just doesn't work for us and our belief system and our understanding of the way our brains work, really. I also think it's really unfair. I feel like I have a real issue with some of the things in like the wedding situation, where like it seems to always be about the bride and not the male. I'm like, why is it only about the bride? The costs of dress, the costs of rings, the fact that one thing that really annoys me, I promise I'll stop, but like when people do speeches, the bride never does a speech. It's just usually the male.
It's an antique, like
it's a really old fashioned
where you used to sell the bride, and the bride was almost like sold. But also it's your last party because it's about you, because you're being sent off. It's weird. And it doesn't fit into the world in 2023 now.
Yes. So if you're like, I'm a empowered female, I'm a feminist, but you should, if you're going to get married, make sure you have a speech. Like, have your voice heard if that's what you're going to do.
No.
Anyway, I think that's it.
That's it. Thank you so much. Hopefully you enjoyed this. It was a bit longer.
We might chop it up, we might see what we do, but yes, enjoyed it.
Do let us know if you enjoyed it, and do let me know if you want to see Rena back in front of the fire.
It was kind of fiery.
Bye.